Good Woch. Motzei Pashas Re'ei Shabbos Mevorchim of Chodesh Elul Mitzvah Hashem. Rabbeinu says in Torah Samechei, oh, here he is. Hello, Rabbi Wise. Okay, so Rabbeinu says in Torah Samechei about this union of Re'iyah. This week we're saying that Re'ah nosi notzei lefnechem hayom. See, Moshe Rabbeinu says, see that I'm giving before you today. Es habracha v'es haklala, the curse and the blessing and the curse. Rashi says that the blessing and the curse refer to the blessings and the curses that are going to be taking place on Har Gerizim and Har Eval once Nesra already go into Eretz Yisrael. So how come the pasuk says, "See that I'm giving you today"? Rashi says, but something is going to happen, quite some time later. And the other thing is that he says, "Rea anoichi," to see that I, is Nes Lifnechem. He starts with singular, and he's got a plural, atem, Lifnechem. So it has to do, Rabbeinu says over there that when a person wants to see into something in a distance, what he needs to do is he needs to limit his sight and zoom in to whatever it is he's looking at. And he says that when a person is zooming in onto something which is very, very far away, the further that object is from him, the more limited the zoom needs to be. He says because the concentration, actually the sight is actually the attention of the mind. And we buy the physical seeing, which is also a function of the mind. The eye is basically like a camera, that captures the sight. But that's not called seeing. It's like when you're moving something really quickly before eyes of a person, even though a person sees it very clearly, but there's no time for the conscious to actually bring the sight to the mind, so a person doesn't know what he's seeing. If he doesn't know what he's seeing, he doesn't see. What we're saying is that what you need to do is you need to what they call send the power of sight, which can mean many things, but one of the things that it means is that you have to concentrate, your vision on a particular nakuda. The further it is, the more limited the focus needs to be. Rabbeinu says, when a person is aiming towards the tachlis, the final reason for all being, this the tachlis obviously is infinitely far, so a person needs to shut his eyes completely in order to be able to see it. And Rabbeinu says over there that this is why it is imprinted in the human nature when people experience great pain to close their eyes. Very powerful, even though they don't know what they're doing. Is because when a person focuses on the tachlis, on the reason why we're doing it, why we're going through what we're going through. He says when a person has a das, all the suffering that a person goes through is becomes a great simcha because everything Kodesh Baruch Hu does is good. But according to how limited that das is, this understanding is, this is how much a person suffers. If a person has a complete cognition that what a Kodesh Baruch Hu does with him right now is good, there's no yisurim at all. There's no suffering at all. The power of sight is a direct contact, as it were. She'ein ken hearing, the shmiya. Shmira is a second-hand kind of knowledge. I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's more vague. It's not as certain. Seeing is knowing. Hearing is believing. So enochinami on Har Grizim and Har Eval later on, the entire Klal Yisrael is going to see it. I mean, they're going to hear it. In other words, the basic emunah, the basic acceptance that this is what this world is about, this is what the tachlis is about, this is what we're going through, whatever we're going through, is in the level of shmiya, of hearing. Obviously, this is when a person needs to overcome the pain that he's hearing and the surim that he feels, because it's a more generalized kind of knowledge. You hear it. It's not, you don't see it. But when a person shuts off his eyes from seeing this world, in other words, he focuses his sight to such an extent that he totally shuts off this world from his sight, he can see the tachlis. This is what Avodas Hashem is about. The power to turn the hearing into seeing is given to Am Yisrael from Moshe Rabbeinu, from the tzaddik. We're saying, see that I'm giving before you today the blessing and the curses so that you should hear. I mean, that you should hear the blessing and the curses. Because everybody will hear. But who will see? Anybody who is shutting his eyes from seeing things in this world. Now, obviously, it's not an all or nothing proposition. Commensurately with how much you are able to close your eyes from looking at this world, the more you are able to turn hearing into seeing. That koyach they got from Moshe Rabbeinu at that particular point in time. So when they get to Har Grizim Ha'eval, they'll be able, everybody will hear, but anybody who wishes to shut his eyes from looking at this world. And now when we're not talking about Averis Chas v'Shalom, but it's mundane stuff. Because this world is like, I'm not interested in that. Then he's able to see the tachlis. Then everything that goes over him is very easily, even physical suffering, lo aleichem v'lo aleinu, is able to be accepted very easily. Even the surim that occur at the time when a person leaves this world. You know, when the fundamental elements of the body, start to separate. So obviously these are something a person physically feels them, they are easy and comfortable to accept. Obviously, if a person passes away on Kiddush Hashem, he doesn't feel any suffering at all. But even those, if a person understands that Tachlis is Kulo Echad, Kulo Toiv, then it's easy to accept. Let's take a quick look at what the Baal Shemtov says. Baal Shemtov said Pam to all those who, to his entourage, the people that were around him, my children, you should keep yourself very carefully from sheker, from lying. This will make you into great people. There's all kinds of sheker. There's a sheker that a person lies because he wants to gain something. Obviously, this kind of sheker is, it blinds a person from being able to see the truth. But even lies, which are what you call like white lies or whatever it is, this is kind of like somebody told you something, and later on you thought, you know something, I should have answered him so and so. When you retell the story, you say, he told me this, and I answered him that thing that came into your mind afterwards to say. Why? Because it sounds like you're coming out looking like real good, like you're like, wow, what a comeback. And you really didn't say it. It's a sheker. Also, when you're davening and you have it in your mind, you know, people are looking at me, or they're not looking at me, or I know they're looking at me, so I'm going to make, you know, these kind of movements with my hands. But I don't need to do these movements with my hands, so it's sheker. So a person invents a truth. Like in my mind, I need to do this movement. Person's embarrassed, you know, to blatantly lie to himself, you know, I'm going to do something for other people looking at me when I'm davening. Ridiculous. So he invents a reason why he needs to do this, really, in truth. But that truth is a sheker. In Sefer Amidas Rabbeinu says, a person, anybody who wants to see all the oilness, all the universes, all the spiritual worlds with the eyes of his mind, needs to keep himself from saying sheker. And the way to do this is by asking Kadosh Baruch Hu to help you. Because there are instances in which saying the truth is the sheker. You know, somebody asks you, what did so-and-so say about me? Saying it, answering him, is rechilas. It's lashon hara. You're not allowed to tell him what this person said. The person is supposed to, you know, even suffer monetary loss for this. If you're not going to tell me what he said, you're going to lose your job. Okay, so I'll lose my job. My sustenance doesn't come from you, it comes from Kadosh Baruch Hu. There's also the inyan of a person having to live with the fact that people think that he's one thing. And you happen to know that you're something else completely. They don't know what you know about yourself. There's all kinds of temptation to like pretend. It's a sheker. But at the same time, you need to have a yishuv adas. There's no Indian for you to advertise to everybody what is going on with you. And you need to do good and give good to everybody as much as you can, and whenever it is that you can. So what are you going to do with the fact that you know you're not that wonderful? Then you simply have to give Yishuv Adas that I may not be as wonderful as it seems. Okay, what can I do? Nevertheless, I need to do what I need to do. And I need to give what I need to give. And I need to know that I am who I am and work on it. This union of emes and sheker is an extremely important nakuda that the person needs to work on and understand that any kind of sheker blinds a person. The Torah of Nosson once about a person who is not Shem Torah mitzvahs, that he's a very honest man. He doesn't lie, he keeps his word. But also says, what good is the fact that his word, he keeps his word, his entire life is sheker. In other words, it's not just what you convey to other people, what you tell other people, but it's also not doing what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to do means that I live sheker. Even then, you need to have a great yishuv adas. You can only get it by talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because there are certain things that you can't do. Sometimes b'chlal, and sometimes temporarily, you still can't do them. You got to do them, and then you can't do them. So woe if I do, woe if I don't. What am I? This is the union of yishuv adas that the person needs to have. The clearest and most obvious solution for this is to have a rav. Have somebody that went through whatever you're going through, and lay it on the line, put it on the table. Ask him, what do you need to do? How do you figure these things out between you and yourself? And he'll tell you, he'll guide you. Very important. Okay, let's take a quick look, B'ezrat Hashem, at the Sichos Haran for this evening. Regarding the union of money, a person needs to have all the koiches, all the abilities that exist in the union of eating, of achila. Yesh kama koiches ba'odom le'inyan achilo. Well, this is Sicha 193. Because in the achila there is koich hamekabel, the ability to consume, the koich hameakev, the koich to hold on so that the food won't go out immediately because it needs to be digested. It goes out quickly. This is when there's some kind of food poisoning. The koich hameakel, and the ability to digest. The koich hamechalek, and the ability to bring the nutrition to all the averim of the body. The best is to come to the brain, same thing to the heart, and the next averim, each one according to its needs. and need to have the koyach to push out, the refuse. Like all the doctors know about it. So the same kind of abilities the person needs to have to the union of money. Person needs to have the koyach ma'akev, koyach of holding things back. Not to spend your money immediately. There are some people in the beginning, they want money, forget about it, how much they want money. And they spend all their days on this. And immediately when they get money, they spend it. As we know. People that, a person may have koyach ma'akiv to the amount of money that he has right now, but he doesn't have the koyach ma'akiv to much more money than that. That's the reason why people win the lottery. They go nuts, and then after a year or two or whatever it is, they lose all the money. They don't have koyach ma'akiv for so much money. Koyach machalik, the power to distribute your money to the places that are necessary, each one properly. Same thing, same like in food. In other words, the best of the money will get to tzedakah. Obviously, together with tzedakah, if it's not tzedakah, you should get to the union of paying back debts. And as it were, the rest of the money, each one needs to go to its proper place. Holding too much onto your money is not good either. Not enough is not good either. It needs to have this koyach properly. This is what they said about Baal Shemtov About. They said that the fact that he gets money from wicked people, he said this money comes to his hands, immediately it spreads out. And the money that he gets from kosher people, that money goes automatically by him to expenses of the tzaddikim that come to him. And the money that comes to him from somebody who is not a kosher yid, that money goes to the expenses of his horses and the guy that works, the servant that works for him. And he says by him, the money gets divided automatically. Even though all the money is mixed up by him, but by him, it's being done mimele, it's automatically. That's the way it used to be Baal Shem HaKodesh from Nebracha. Like, the koyach mechalek, as I said, the koyach that pushes it out, so on and so on. It's because there's money that needs to go out, for the Gentiles and the horses, whatever it is. He says the main taivas moment, greed, is somebody does not have the kli, the vessel to receive. Like taivas achil, somebody can eat properly b'kedusha. It's a mitzvah for him to eat over. Taiva is above the shir. Says the same thing is applicable to inyan of money. Says in Baruch Hashem, Rabbeinu says that he has the keli for all this. It's very, very important. The inyan of having, specifically with money, one of the problems with money is that the what to spend the money on and how to spend the money on when the priorities are wrong, then it's like not being able to eat or to digest. It's very important to know, especially the union of debts. Rabbeinu was very, very explicit for people, do not get into debt. Whatever it is, don't get mixed up in borrowing and debts. If a person has debts, he needs to return the money. Yeah, but I need to do a mitzvah, I need to go to Uman, I need to do this, I need to do that. But you owe money, it's not your money. The first thing you need to do is you need to return your debts. I need to live, okay, so this is where the Yishuv Adas, the same thing as with Sheker. Yishuv Adas needs to come in. what needs to be done first, what needs to be done second. The klal hayotzeh from everything that we're speaking here is the fact that you need to have a Rav to get Yeshiva Das from him and his Bodhitus. You need to speak to Kodesh Baruch Hu and put it all on the line and beg him to open up your eyes, to give you a Rav that you can be Messiahs with, that you can consult with. And B'ezrat Hashem, when you go along that way, B'ezrat Hashem, you will never ever fail. Baruch Hu should help us. B'ezrat Hashem should have a good week. B'ezrat Hashem will have a good Chodesh. And I wish you all the very best. Be matzliach with everything that you do.